Hi everyone, it's Chrissie and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another apartment renovation in The Sims 4. So this apartment is actually the final apartment for our Building a Legacy apartment series. So yes, this is the 6th and final one. And this one is probably, it's the biggest apartment that I've done for this series so far. And it's also the biggest apartment that I've done in quite a while, if I'm being honest. It's actually going to be a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom apartment for a family of 8 different Sims. So in case you guys don't know what this series is, I'm going to give you a quick little recap because we do have time in this video. It's a little bit longer than my apartment builds normally are because it's a very big apartment, so it took me quite a while. But yeah, so this series, if you haven't seen any of the previous videos, I will leave a link on the screen and in the description to the playlist that I set up for like just these apartments in case you want to go ahead and watch any of the previous ones. But I will also have a picture of the family that I created for this specific apartment. I will have a picture of the family up on the screen as well. But yeah, so basically the whole idea behind this apartment series was building a legacy in the form of apartments and just following one family. So I started off with a single sim, and that was the sim that I used for my 20k starter apartment. Then that sim got married and they moved into their second apartment, so like a couple's first apartment together. And then the third apartment was where they had their first child. The fourth apartment was where they had their second child. The fifth apartment was where they had their third child. And then this is the fifth apartment, which is where they actually have 2 more kids. So a pair of twins actually. And they also have the grandpa that lives with them. So basically this series followed Lucas, Katara, who are the 2 parents, obviously. They have their oldest daughter, Storm, who's now a young adult. When I was furnishing this apartment, I furnished her bedroom to be for a young adult. That's kind of like the ages that I had in my head for this family. But yeah, so their oldest daughter is a young adult. Their second daughter, Arabella, is now a teenager. Their third child and only son, Lucas, is a child. And then they obviously had, like I said, 2 new kids. So they actually have twin toddler girls called Isabella and Arena. And then obviously I also mentioned a granddad, and that's actually Katara's Katara's father, Keys, who now also lives with them. And I do have an idea in my head for why all of that is and all of that stuff. But yeah, that's basically the family and the family that I specifically had in mind when I was furnishing this. And that's kind of the idea behind this whole series, is obviously like following this family as they grow. As I started off with just Katara, and like I said, I followed her life, with her getting married and starting to have kids, and all of the various different stages of the family growing. And yeah, I really like the way this has turned out. I actually loved doing this series so much. It was really fun actually having a game plan in mind for like all of these apartments. Before I started the series, I already knew in which apartments I wanted to build. I already had all of the apartments picked out. I already decided on, the family dynamics and the family sizes that I wanted the apartments to be for, as well as the budgets. So yeah, that's another thing with this series. I did all of the apartments according to a budget. So the apartment budget for this one was a lot more than the previous ones. I think the last apartment's budget was, 60,000 simoleons, if I'm remembering correctly. But this one actually had a budget of 130,000. So it's very expensive. I believe it turned out to be like 126,000 or something like that when I was done with it. But the reason I gave them such a big budget for this apartment is because the grandfather has also moved in. And in my head, maybe like Katara's mother passed away a while ago, and the granddad just doesn't want to live alone anymore, or maybe Katara doesn't like the idea of her dad living alone. I figured they would live in Henford on Bagley, so maybe that's where she grew up. And she moved away from home after university, and she's just been living in like San Myshuno and Evergreen Harbor for all of her life. She hasn't really moved back home. But yeah, so in my head, they sold their family house in Henford-on-Bagley, and they've put that money towards actually getting, a bigger apartment, because obviously they have 5 kids at this point, and now the grandfather lives with them and everything, so they definitely needed a bigger apartment, and they really needed to stay in the city because of Katara or Lucas's work. They both actually work in the tech guru career, so I did put a lot of thought into these families and into these Sims. I actually gave them careers and skills and personalities, and I actually put, like I said, a lot of thought into what they would be like, which is funny considering that I actually haven't played with any of them. I haven't spent any time in gameplay with any of these Sims. These are all just things that I've done through cheats and through like my imagination, all of that stuff. So yeah, they're both actually in the tech guru career. Katara is actually in the esports branch, and then Lucas is in the startup branch, and they're both very successful. I think they're both almost at the tops of their careers. So yeah, they're very into like gaming and computers and technology, so maybe that's why they have to stay in the city. Maybe they work in the city and it's just easier for them to live, like maybe the commute is shorter obviously, so living in the city versus moving all the way out to Henford-on-Bagley, which would be quite a way, out of the way, I guess I could say. And then they have their eldest daughter, Storm. Like I mentioned, she's a young adult at this point, and she's actually in university. And I did enroll her in university and all of that stuff. She's really into music, so I put her in the fine arts major in Brichester. And then they also have a teenage daughter, Arabella, who actually follows in her parents' footsteps. She's also really into computers and gaming and tech and like all of that stuff, so she's really into gaming. And then they have their child, so they're like, yeah, the child-aged Sim, I guess I could say. So, and their only son, who's called Logan, he's very like active and very energetic. You guys will see that when I get to his room. His room is probably the busiest, or it looks the busiest out of all of the kids' bedrooms. It's just very, it's not super cluttered, but it's very bright, and it looks like he spends a lot of time just playing and all of that stuff in there. And he's also in the scouts, so that's something that I thought which would be really, really cool to like actually just use for a change, because I don't use the scout system like at all normally. And then obviously they do have the twin girls, Isabella and Irina. Obviously they're just toddlers, so they don't really have much personality, because that's just how the game works. Toddlers don't really have any personality. But yeah, that's the like main family. And then we have the grandfather, who's actually a retired civic planner, and now he just spends all of his time like fishing and candle making. He actually loves crafting and all of that stuff, so I did end up putting a candle making station in his bedroom. So yeah, that was weird and something that I don't usually put in my Sims bedrooms, but yeah, he has a candle making station. And he also likes fishing, which in my head, I don't think he really likes living in the city. I don't think he liked the fact that he had to move all the way to San Myshuno. In my head, he would have probably preferred to stay in Henford-on-Bagley and have, his family move out to be with him. But, like I said, it probably wouldn't have worked with their careers. So he kind of had to come and live with them. In my head, maybe he's just getting too old to live on his own anymore. So he had to like pick up and move to the city. But I think he really enjoys it in a way as well. Even though he's very much an outdoorsy kind of person. So in my head, he likes, crafting stuff and tinkering and inventing things and, fishing and spending time outside, which in the city isn't that like easy to do. Especially in the game, there's no like really big parks or anything, unless you count like the big central park. So yeah, maybe that's a part that he doesn't really enjoy. But he really does enjoy being with all of his grandkids. So yeah, I think that's something that he does like. But yeah, so onto the bedrooms. I have finished the master bedroom at this point. It's fairly basic. I tried to stick with a fairly cohesive color scheme throughout most of the apartments. So like darker woods, lighter woods, whites, grays, and then some blue as well, which has been the color scheme for like all of these apartments because I've been building them for the same Sims, so I wanted the apartments to kind of look like they had a cohesive color scheme running throughout all of them. But then I did go crazy with colors in all of the kids' rooms, so yeah, it's very personalized, very like decorated for what I thought would be their personal tastes and all of that stuff. But yeah, so the first room that we're working on is actually Logan's bedroom, and like I said, it's very busy. It's very like green and kind of outdoorsy themed, so I really liked doing that. I had a lot of fun with this color scheme. It's one that I don't really do all that much. So yeah, I also put that big like play tent from Cottage Living in his room because I figured, you know, he likes being outside, so maybe that's a way for him to pretend that, you know, he's camping or, you know, something like that in the woods or something. So yeah, that was really fun to use. And then the other two bedrooms that are kids' rooms, like I said, there are 5 bedrooms in this. So obviously one of the bedrooms is the master bedroom that has an ensuite. Then we also have the grandfather's bedroom, which is right off of the living room. So it's a little bit removed from the other bedrooms. It's like right on the other side of the apartment. So he does have a little bit more privacy. But yeah, we have the grandfather's bedroom that also has his own ensuite. Then we have Logan's room, which is the smallest bedroom. It's still like huge. I mean, I've built houses that size. And yeah, it's still a huge bedroom, but it's smaller than the other two. So we have Logan's bedroom. And then we have the toddler bedroom, which they're sharing, obviously. So the twin toddlers, they do share a room. And then the last bedroom is actually another shared bedroom that the older 2 sisters have to share. So we have a teenager and a young adult sharing this bedroom with like the bunk bed and the double bed at the bottom. Obviously, I thought the top bunk would be the teenagers, like Arabella's bed, and the bottom one would be Storm's. So yeah, I figured Storm would be in university, obviously, like I said. So there are a few like university posters and all of that stuff around the room as well. But I figured, you know, they've been sharing a bedroom, I think, in every house, or like not every house, but every apartment that I've done. Apart from the first apartment where like Storm was like a toddler. So ever since they had Arabella, they've always been sharing a room, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. I think I've always had them share a room, so I figured they probably wouldn't mind. In my head, they're probably very close. They're quite close in age as well, in my head anyway. So I figured they would be very close. They would be like best friends. So I don't think they would mind sharing a room, especially with Storm being in university. So she's probably like, she probably doesn't spend too much time in her room, if that makes sense. She's probably out, you know, with her friends. And, you know, obviously on campus for classes and gatherings, all of that stuff. Like I said, she's really into music. So I figured maybe she plays a couple of gigs, you know, that takes her like away from the house or stuff like that. So yeah, she doesn't spend too much time in her room. Whereas Arabella, on the other hand, is the gamer, and she does spend a lot of time in her room. So they do have their own TV and gaming console in their bedroom, and then obviously Arabella has a big gaming computer as well that is on that little like small 1-tile desk. And yeah, that's basically everything in this room. We're just working on Storm's like desk area for her like laptop and schoolwork and all of that stuff. And luckily, in my head, you will see from the way they're dressed in the picture that I have on screen that they are fairly similar in style. So like they both, obviously this is just my like idea of them, but they both like bright colors. So they like neon colors. So yeah, so like blacks, they do like black and gray and kind of monochrome stuff. But they also like bright pink and bright purple and blue. So yeah, they have a very like similar, like, I don't know, color scheme going on. So luckily their bedroom really worked well together for like their separate styles. I was able to like use both styles and still have it like look good together, but you can still tell that there's 2 separate Sims living there, if that makes sense. And then the toddler girl bedroom is actually quite similar in color scheme. It's very pink and purple. I don't know why I went with pink and purple. It was just, I don't know, I saw that wallpaper from, I think, Dream Home Decorator, if I'm remembering correctly. The one that's like the patterned triangle, geometric triangle one. I saw that pink swatch, and that's a wallpaper that I never ever use. So I wanted to use that wallpaper as an accent, and then I just kind of built the whole room around that. So yeah, they're both very into pink and purple, but I figured, you know, they're toddlers, so they probably don't have a favorite color. You probably don't have a favorite color when you're a toddler, and you definitely don't get a say in what color your room is when you're a toddler. So I figured this is maybe just the way that, you know, their parents decorated it when they moved in. Maybe they have a lot of hand-me-down stuff from their older sisters from when they were kids, because that's something that I did try and do with this apartment. Again, like with the previous ones, I did try and bring over a couple of stuff from the older apartments, so a couple of paintings, a few like toys for the kids, you know, a few like kid items, a few like, I guess, like hand-me-down looking like furniture pieces. So I used a couple of the same bookshelves, and I used the same hamster chair, for example, in the kids' room, and you know, stuff like that. Stuff that, so you can see that this is the same family that has, you know, brought some of their things from their old apartment into the new one, because maybe there's stuff that has like sentimental value, like some of the paintings might have, for example, or you know, those mounted like toddler shoes that I have in the living room next to the like TV. I actually have 5 sets of those little mounted shoes. So maybe those were the kids when they were younger, and they've had them, you know, since they've had their first child. They've kind of just added to the collection with each kid that they've had. So yeah, that was really fun to do. I really enjoyed this series, like I said, and yeah, if you guys have any other ideas for series kind of similar to this that you would like to see me attempt here on the channel, I mean things that aren't like really big builds, because I never finish big series and I'm still working on my save file, so I don't really have the time to do like a big like long series. But if you have something like this that you would like to see me try a little bit more of, if you have an idea for something like this, then definitely let me know down in the comments. And yeah, also let me know what you thought about this series, if you've enjoyed it, if you downloaded any of these apartments and played in them or anything like that. I should also mention that this apartment is built in the Arts Quarter. It's in the 930 Medina Studios apartment, but all of that information along with like the download information and stuff will all be in the description like always. But I hope you guys enjoyed this build. If you did, give the video a like, and if you're new to the channel and you'd like to see some more Sims content, feel free to hit the subscribe button, and remember to turn on the notification bell as well to be notified of whenever I upload a new video. I hope you're all having a great day and a great week, and I'll talk to you in my very next video. Bye everyone!
Oh baby, I love your madness. It's so incredibly beautiful. Oh, you shine like gold, so selfless to all, and wild like an animal. Some would say I'm insane in the right in a way, but I just love to play in your fun and your games. Always hungry for more, that's just how I was born. Take me somewhere I don't know, and give me your freedom. Whoa, you love me to pieces, yeah I need it. Want your pandemonium, life is so easy. Whoa, you love me to pieces, yeah I need it. Want your